I never saw my best friend in a romantic way until that night. That kiss. After that, everything changed. It flipped my entire world upside down. It started after I broke up with my girlfriend. I hadn't expected to walk in on Carly riding another guy like it was some kind of show. But there she was, moaning his name like I never existed. My breath caught in my throat. My stomach twisted into knots. For a moment, I just stood there, frozen. I couldn't think. I could only stare in shock, watching the woman I'd loved and trusted for 2 years betray me in the worst way. Then she saw me. Her eyes widened in panic as she scrambled off him, yanking the sheets over herself. "Seth," she gasped, her voice cracking. "This isn't what it looks like." I let out a bitter laugh. "Not what it looks like." "Really, Carly?" My voice came out colder than I'd ever heard it. But the man speaking didn't feel like me. I wasn't the guy who got cheated on. I wasn't the one left standing in a doorway, humiliated, while his girlfriend fed him lies. The guy in her bed, her coworker, the one she told me not to worry about, was scrambling for his clothes, avoiding my eyes. I clenched my fists, needing to hit something, anything. But nothing would compare to the pain crashing through my chest. Carly's lips trembled. "Please, just let me explain." I took a breath. Slow. Controlled. The hesitation in her eyes told me everything. She was debating whether to lie or come clean. Eventually, her shoulders slumped. 3 months, she whispered. My stomach dropped. 3 months. 3 months of sneaking around behind my back. 3 months of lying while I poured my heart into something I thought was real. I could have handled a mistake. One stupid night. But 3 months? That wasn't a mistake. That was a choice, over and over again. She chose him. I turned on my heel, heart pounding so loud it echoed in my ears. "Seth, wait," she cried, lunging for my arm. "I messed up. We can fix this." I pulled away, rubbing a hand over my face. I feel like I should be angry, but I'm just numb. He studied me for a moment, then nodded toward the road. "Come on, let's get you drunk." I laughed hollow. "That your solution?" "That's my distraction," he said with a crooked smirk. "And right now, you need one." I hesitated. I wasn't sure anything could fix the ache in my chest, but I needed to stop feeling, just for a little while. "All right," I muttered, starting the car. "Let's go." The club was a blur of flashing neon, pounding bass, and bodies moving in sync. I didn't care what time it was. I didn't care about anything. 2 shots of tequila hit my throat in seconds. Mike raised an eyebrow. "Slow down, man." I waved him off, grabbing another drink. I'm on a mission to forget. He met my eyes. To disappear. He didn't like it, but he didn't stop me. Time blurred into a mess of alcohol and music. I lost count of the drinks, lost myself in the rhythm, dancing with strangers, pushing my body to feel something, anything, other than heartbreak. Somewhere in the chaos, I grabbed Mike's arm and pulled him toward me. "Dance with me." He hesitated. "Seth, maybe we should. Please." My voice barely cut through the music. But he heard me. I knew he did. He sighed. But he didn't let go. He let me guide him into the crowd. Our bodies moved together. Close. The alcohol erased all hesitation. I wasn't thinking. I was just feeling. The heat. The beat. The way he looked at me. And that's when I saw it. Something flickered in his eyes. Something unsure, but real. I stepped closer, my heart pounding for reasons that had nothing to do with the music. "You're always there for me," I murmured, my forehead nearly touching his. Mike's breath hitched. "What are you saying?" I didn't know. Maybe it was the drinks. Maybe it was desperation. Or maybe it was something that had always been there. Something I hadn't been ready to see until now. I kissed him. Quick. Desperate. Real. And for a split second, something flickered in his eyes. Was that hurt? No. That couldn't be right. Why would he be hurt? But just as quickly, it was gone. He scoffed, shaking his head. "Yeah, just a mistake." Something in the way he said it made my chest ache. Still, I ignored the feeling. I had to. I tried to laugh, tried to make it normal. Guess that's a new one for the books, huh? Drunk idiot kisses his best friend. But that won't be awkward at all. Mike didn't laugh. He just nodded stiffly. Yeah, hilarious. I hated this. The distance, the silence. Mike was always the one who made things feel okay, no matter how screwed up they were. But now, it felt like he couldn't wait for me to leave. I stood, my legs unsteady. I should go. Mike nodded again. Didn't say a word. Didn't try to stop me. That shouldn't have hurt. But it did. The car ride home was dead quiet. Except for my thoughts, which wouldn't shut up. I kissed Mike. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. It didn't mean anything. It was the alcohol. A dumb, impulsive moment. That's all. Then why couldn't I stop thinking about it? Why couldn't I stop remembering how his lips felt against mine? Or how my body moved closer to him, not away? Or how, for one heart-pounding moment, he kissed me back? I shook my head, muttering under my breath. That wasn't me. I was straight. Always had been. Carly was the one who cheated. Carly was the reason I lost my mind. This wasn't about Mike. It couldn't be. I parked outside my apartment and slumped back in my seat, running my hands over my face. I felt wrecked, physically, emotionally. And for some reason, Mike being distant hurt more than Carly's betrayal. What the hell was wrong with me? I didn't know. The next few days dragged on. Mike barely texted. That was the worst part. I kept telling myself it was fine, that we both needed space. But the truth was, I wasn't used to this. We talked every damn day. He was my constant. Now, he felt gone. By the fourth day, I couldn't take it anymore. I texted him. Hey. He read it instantly. 3 dots appeared, then vanished. Nothing. A lump formed in my throat. I tried again. Seth, are we good? It took longer this time. Finally, he replied. Yeah, just busy. Busy. That was it. I stared at the screen, fingers hovering. Eventually, I typed. Want to grab a drink later? Clear the air. His reply took even longer. When it came, it was short. Can't. No explanation. No, maybe another time. Just can't. I tossed my phone on the couch and ran a hand through my hair. I didn't understand. I didn't understand why he was pulling away, or why it hurt so damn much. I needed to fix this. Before I could second-guess myself, I grabbed my keys and headed to Mike's place. His apartment was dark when he opened the door, like he hadn't bothered turning on the lights. He looked tired. Really tired. What are you doing here? He asked quietly. I stepped in without waiting. We need to talk. Mike exhaled sharply, rubbing a hand over his face. Seth, I told you. Cut the crap. Why are you avoiding me? He flinched. Just barely. But I saw it. I'm not, he muttered, arms crossed. I laughed, cold and humorless. You've barely said 2 words to me since that night. He looked away. It's not a big deal. Then why are you acting like it is? Silence. I stepped closer. Mike. He blurted it out, his voice raw. Because it wasn't a mistake. The words hit me like a gut punch. I couldn't breathe. I just stared at him, heart racing. What was I supposed to say to that? For the first time since that night, I had no answer. His words hung in the air like a weight pressing down on both of us. Because it wasn't a mistake. Not to me. I had come here to clear the air. To push it all aside. To convince him, and myself, that what happened had just been alcohol and bad decisions. But standing there, looking into his eyes, I realized something I wasn't ready to face. There was no going back. And for the first time in years, I didn't know where I stood with Mike. And that scared the hell out of me. Something broke loose inside me. I swallowed, my throat dry. Mike, but I had no idea what to say. His jaw tightened, his eyes guarded. Forget it, he muttered, stepping back. It doesn't matter. Mike, I mean it. Seth. His voice was sharp. A warning. Let's just drop it. I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell him it did matter. That the way he looked at me had cracked something wide open inside me. But instead, I just nodded, forcing a shaky breath out through my nose. Okay, I said. Even though nothing about this felt okay. What I didn't know then was that it was only the beginning. Over the next few days, we tried to pretend nothing had changed. But everything had. We still talked. We still hung out. But the closeness, the ease was gone. Mike answered my texts, but slower now. He made excuses when I asked him to come over. And when he laughed, it felt off, too careful. Like he was trying too hard to keep things light. And then there was me. I kept catching myself watching him when he wasn't looking. Memorizing the curve of his jaw, the way his lips pressed together when he was thinking. And when he wasn't around, something felt off. Unsettled. Like a part of me was missing. It didn't make sense. I'd known Mike for years. I'd seen him at his best and his worst. He knew me better than anyone. So why did it suddenly feel like I was seeing him for the first time? The realization crawled under my skin. Unwelcome. Impossible. I couldn't be. But the thoughts kept creeping in. And it only got worse when Carly came back. I hadn't spoken to her since the night I caught her cheating. I hadn't wanted to. But one afternoon, walking out of a coffee shop, she was just there. standing in front of me, eyes glassy with what looked like regret. "Seth," she breathed. I stiffened. "Carly." She looked good. That was the first thing I noticed. She'd always been beautiful, wavy brown hair, hazel eyes that once made me weak. But now, looking at her, I felt nothing. She reached for my arm, but I pulled back before she could touch me. "Can we talk?" I should have said no, but curiosity, or maybe the need for closure, made me sigh and nod. We sat on a nearby bench. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then she exhaled shakily. "I messed up," she said. "And I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I miss you, Seth." I stared at her, waiting for the anger, the hurt, the heartbreak. But none of it came. Instead, I just felt tired. "Carly," I said evenly, "you didn't just mess up. You made a choice. For 3 months." She flinched, eyes dropping to her hands. "I know," she whispered, "and I hate myself for it." I ran a hand through my hair. "I don't hate you," I said quietly. "I thought I would. But I don't." Her eyes snapped to mine, suddenly hopeful. "Then maybe." "No." I cut her off, gently but firmly. "Whatever we had, it's gone. I don't feel that way about you anymore." Even as I said it, I was surprised by how true it was. I expected it to sting, to feel like something final had ended. But instead, I felt relieved. Carly looked like she might cry, but she nodded, swallowing hard. "I get it," she murmured. "I'm sorry." I nodded, and that was it. No dramatic goodbye. No lingering glances. Just two people who had once loved each other, now strangers. As I walked away, I realized something else. The only person I wanted to talk to about this was Mike. But I had no idea I was walking into something even more complicated. That night, I showed up at Mike's place again. This time, he let me in without hesitation. He studied me carefully as I stepped inside, like he was trying to read my face. "What's wrong?" he asked. I sat down on the couch, rubbing my hands together. "I saw Carly today." Mike tensed, but stayed quiet. "She wants to fix things," I said. "Told me she misses me." I glanced at him, expecting a reaction. But Mike's expression stayed unreadable. "And?" he asked. I told her no. His eyebrows lifted slightly, but he still didn't speak. I sighed, leaning back. It was weird. I thought I'd feel something, but I didn't. Mike exhaled and sat beside me. "Maybe that's a good thing." "Yeah," I murmured. "Maybe." Silence filled the room, but this time, it wasn't tense. It felt different, softer. I turned to him. He was staring at the floor, his fingers tracing patterns on his knee. And suddenly, I couldn't stop looking at him. He was just Mike, my best friend, the guy who knew every version of me, who showed up when no one else did. But now, I was seeing him in a completely new light. His jawline was sharp under the lamplight. His lips, why the hell was I thinking about his lips, were slightly parted. His hands, usually so steady, were fidgeting against his knee, like he was nervous. Something tightened in my chest, something I didn't know how to name. Mike finally looked at me, and for a moment, our eyes locked. His brow furrowed. "What?" he asked softly. I quickly looked away. "Nothing," I muttered. But it wasn't nothing. It was everything. And I was finally starting to understand that. For days, I tried to shut it out. Tried to tell myself I was confused, that I was still reeling from Carly's betrayal. But none of those excuses made sense. None of them explained why I missed Mike the second he left a room. Why I replayed the kiss, not with regret, but with something that scared the hell out of me. I wasn't just questioning anymore. I knew. I was falling for my best friend. The truth hit me like a punch. But at the same time, it felt like clarity. Like someone had flipped on a light in a room I didn't know I'd been sitting in the dark in. Mike had been pulling away ever since that night, giving me space, waiting for me to snap out of it. But I wasn't going back to who I was before. Not anymore. It started with one drink. At least, that's what I told myself. Just one drink. Just like old times. No tension. No pretending. But one drink turned into 3, then 4. And before I knew it, we were back at Mike's place, on his couch, watching each other too closely. He caught me staring and smirked. "You're staring," he murmured, sipping his beer. "So are you," I shot back. His smile tugged at one corner of his mouth, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. He leaned back, watching me carefully. "You're acting weird tonight." "Am I?" Mike huffed a soft laugh, shaking his head. "Yeah, you are." I swallowed, gripping the bottle in my hand. The alcohol buzzed in my veins, but I wasn't drunk. Not like before. This time, I was fully aware of what I was doing. I set the bottle on the table and shifted closer, my knee brushing his. Mike stiffened, his eyes darting to mine, guarded. "Seth," he warned quietly. I ignored it. "Tell me you don't want this." His breath hitched. I saw it, the hesitation, the battle in his eyes, the way he swallowed like he was trying to push the words down. But I already knew. He wanted this. He was just scared. "I can't do this with you," he whispered, looking away. "Not if you're just gonna wake up tomorrow and pretend it didn't happen." I reached for his hand before he could pull away. "I'm not drunk this time." His jaw tightened, but he didn't move. "That doesn't mean you know what you want." "I do," I said, exhaling. "You think I haven't been losing my damn mind over this? You think I haven't tried to fight it?" I let out a short, humorless laugh. "I have, and I lost." His fingers twitched under mine. I leaned in, just enough to see the way his throat bobbed as he swallowed. "I don't care what this means," I whispered. "I just know I want you." His breath came out shaky. "You don't know what you're saying." "Yes, I do." I tightened my grip on his hand, feeling the warmth of his skin against mine. "I know I kissed you first. I know I thought it was a mistake. But it wasn't, Mike." I paused, heart pounding. It wasn't a mistake at all. His lips parted slightly, and for a moment, he just stared at me, like he was searching for something. Like he was waiting for an excuse to stop this. I didn't give him one. Instead, I cupped his face gently in my hands, my thumbs brushing along his jawline. He tensed under my touch, but he didn't pull away. He never pulled away. "You keep running from me," I whispered, our foreheads nearly touching. "Stop running." Mike let out a shaky breath. "Seth, I didn't let him finish." I closed the space between us, pressing my lips to his. He froze, his whole body going still. But then he melted. The moment he kissed me back, everything else disappeared. It wasn't like the first time. It wasn't hesitant or unsure. It was urgent, desperate, like something that had been simmering too long finally boiled over. His hands found my waist, fingers gripping the fabric of my shirt as he pulled me closer. I could feel his heartbeat pounding against mine, matching the frantic rhythm of my own. The kiss deepened. His lips parted beneath mine, and suddenly, I wasn't thinking anymore. I was just feeling. The heat of his skin. The way his hands slid up my arms. The soft sound he made as he exhaled into my mouth, like he'd been holding this in for years. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know where it would go. But I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't letting him go. I felt the exact moment Mike stopped thinking when he gave in completely. His hands slid over my shoulders, down my back, pulling me tighter. Our kisses turned hungrier, deeper. His tongue brushed against mine, sending heat spiraling through my body. My fingers tangled in his hair, tugging gently. He let out a soft, breathless noise that sent a shock straight through me. He pushed me back against the couch, climbing over me, his weight grounding me in the moment. His mouth moved from my lips to my jaw, then lowered. His breath hot against my skin. I gasped as he nipped at my neck, his hands slipping under my shirt, fingertips mapping out every inch of me. Like he'd always wanted to, but never dared. I tugged at his clothes, kneading him closer. Kneading all of him. Shirts hit the floor. Skin met skin. The heat between us built with every kiss, every touch, every breath. His body pressed fully against mine, the friction maddening. And when he rocked against me, a groan tore from my throat. "Are you sure?" he murmured, voice rough, lips brushing my collarbone. I cupped his face again, meeting his eyes. I've never been more sure of anything. That was all it took. He kissed me again, this time slower, deeper, his hands exploring, teasing, until nothing existed but him. This moment. The way he made me fall apart beneath his touch. And when he finally took me. It wasn't just about desire. It was about everything. The morning after should have felt strange. But it didn't. I woke to sunlight spilling through the window. To warmth. To the soft sound of Mike's breathing beside me. I didn't move. I just lay there, taking it in. His bare skin pressed against mine. His arm draped over my waist. His face relaxed in sleep. Something tightened in my chest, but it wasn't fear or doubt. It felt like peace. I wasn't panicking. I wasn't overthinking. I just felt right. Until Mike stirred beside me and the moment shattered. His eyes blinked open, and for one fleeting second, they were soft. Then reality set in. His body tensed. His arm slipped away as he sat up, rubbing a hand over his face. He muttered something under his breath. A knot formed in my stomach. "Morning to you too," I said quietly. He looked at me, really looked at me for the first time since waking. His eyes searched my face like he didn't know what he'd find. "Seth, do you regret it?" I frowned. No. His jaw tightened. He let out a slow breath. You don't have to say that just because. I mean it, I said, sitting up and reaching for his hand before he could pull away. I meant every word I said last night. I'm not drunk now, and I still feel the same. Mike exhaled sharply, shaking his head. I don't want to be a phase for you, he said, voice low. I don't want to be the guy you experiment with just to wake up one day and realize you were never into this in the first place. His doubt hit me hard, deeper than I expected. I shifted closer, tightening my grip on his hand. Mike, look at me. He hesitated, then met my gaze. This isn't some drunken accident. It's not a phase. And it's sure as hell not some experiment. I paused, letting the weight of my words settle. It's you, I said firmly. It's always been you. His breath caught. His fingers twitched in mine. Seth. I don't care what this means, I said. I don't care about labels, or what I used to think I was, or what anyone else might say. I just know. I don't want to go back to pretending. And I don't want to lose you. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was full, heavy, charged, like something had shifted in the air. Then, after what felt like forever, Mike let out a shaky laugh, rubbing the back of his neck. Jesus, he muttered. You really are full of surprises, aren't you? I smirked and nudged him with my shoulder. You love it. He rolled his eyes, but he didn't deny it. Instead, his expression softened. You really want this? I didn't even hesitate. Yeah, I do. And just like that, the last bit of tension melted from his body. He reached up, cupping my face gently. His thumb brushed my cheek. Okay, he whispered. Then he kissed me. Not rushed, not desperate. Slow, deliberate, real. And that, tea was more than enough. I saw it in his eyes sometimes. That flicker of doubt. Like he was wondering if one day I'd wake up and change my mind. But I didn't. I never did. Because loving Mike wasn't something I had to figure out. It wasn't a decision. It just was. Like it had always been there, waiting for me to finally open my eyes and see it. When we first told our friends, I half expected chaos. Shock. Maybe even a full-blown meltdown. Instead, it was underwhelming. You're together? Brian blinked at us like he'd misheard. Mike and I exchanged a glance. I nodded. Yeah. Brian stared for a second, then shrugged. Yeah, we figured. I frowned. Wait, what? Sierra rolled her eyes and took a sip of her drink. Oh, please. You two have been in love for years. We were just waiting for you idiots to catch up. Mike choked on his beer. What? Ian snorted. Yeah, dude. You're not as subtle as you think. I blinked. So, no one's weirded out? Sierra raised her glass. We're just mad it took this long. But congrats, or whatever. Now kiss. Mike groaned and buried his face in his hands while I laughed. Turned out, the only ones who had been overthinking everything were us. The months passed, and everything just fit. Being with Mike didn't feel like a phase or a mistake. It felt like coming home. One night, we were tangled in bed, the city lights flickering outside the window, casting soft shadows across the sheets. I ran my fingers through his hair, listening to the quiet sound of his breathing. Then, softly, I said, I love you. He stilled for a moment, then slowly lifted his head to look at me, eyes searching mine like he was trying to make sure. You sure? I laughed, brushing my thumb over his cheek. Yeah, I am. A slow, almost disbelieving smile spread across his face. Then he leaned down and kissed me. I love you too, he whispered against my lips. And just like that, every doubt, every hesitation, every unanswered question just faded away. Because this wasn't about labels. It wasn't about the past or what I used to think I knew about myself. It was about him. It was about us. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't unsure. I wasn't afraid. I had found where I was meant to be, with him. But love like this, was it really meant to last? Or was I just setting us up for something that would eventually fall apart? Would you risk everything for love, even if the world refused to understand it? Or would you walk away before it broke you? Let me know in the comments. Because right now, I'm standing at the edge, and I don't know if I should take the leap or turn back. And if you don't want to miss what happens next, subscribe now, because this is only the beginning.